Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell bringing you week 45 of Spotlight on Success. Today, we are talking about reinventing for the next chapter. We're diving into something powerful this week, something that every high performer, visionary, and change maker eventually faces. It's not about starting over. It's not just about legacy in the traditional sense. It's about reinvention, the process of evolving yourself, your systems, and your vision for what comes next. See, legacy is something that you leave behind. Reinvention is what keeps you alive in the game. So today I want to talk to you about how to turn reflection into reinvention and how you can ensure that your next decade of success builds on and not just repeats the last one. Because the truth is, the future belongs to those who can evolve faster than the environment changes. So, first, we need to talk about the mindset of reinvention. Every entrepreneur, leader, and creative visionary eventually reaches a crossroads, a moment when what got you here won't then get you there. You've mastered your craft. You've built your systems. You've reached milestones that others aspire to. But now you feel that quiet internal or a large external nudge. Something more is calling. And reinvention starts at that moment. You realize you didn't get this far to only go this far. It's not a rejection of your past, but actually a rejoicing. And it's also an invitation to evolve your identity, to build the next version of yourself before the world forces you to. In business, we talk about disruption all of the time. But what most people forget is that the greatest disruption happens within. You can't innovate your company if you're not evolving as a leader. You can't scale your vision if you're still operating from yesterday's mindset. Reinvention is the act of courage that bridges where you've been to where you're meant to go next. Now, legacy thinking might have you ask, but what endures when I'm gone? But reinvention, which will be the stronger magnetic pull forward, asks, how do I evolve while I'm here? It's not about abandoning your foundation that you've put into place. Ultimately, it's about upgrading it. It's about letting go of habits, systems, and even identities that no longer align with who you're becoming. And I'll be completely honest, this part of the journey can be extremely uncomfortable for just about anyone at any level. Because reinvention always requires release. You have to be willing to outgrow your own success story. And that's where the ultimate biggest growth happens. The most successful leaders don't wait for disruption, they create it. They read the signals early, they pivot with purpose, and they build optionality into their strategy. That's how they stay not just relevant, but resonant, decade after decade. So ask yourself this: what part of my leadership, my business, or my identity, or all of the above, is ready for renewal? Because the moment you can answer that honestly, reinvention begins. So the Renew framework. Let's talk about how reinvention happens in practice. It's a simple but powerful structure that helps leaders stay adaptive, aligned, and future ready. So let's walk through each step. The R in Renew is for reflect, because before you can move forward, you have to look back with clarity. Reflection isn't just about what worked, it's about understanding why it worked. So ask yourself, what parts of your business or your leadership and your identity are still delivering value? Are there patterns or decisions that are no longer serving me? And where have I been playing small, staying safe, or avoiding risk? Reflection builds self-awareness, and self-awareness builds better strategy. So let's take an honest audit of what's thriving and what's expired, because sometimes the thing holding you back isn't failure, it's yesterday's success. Number 2, E is eliminate. Every reinvention begins with letting go. That might mean outdated processes, unaligned partnerships, or commitments that drain more than they deliver. Elimination creates oxygen. It frees the mental and emotional space needed for innovation to breathe. In leadership, subtraction is often more powerful than addition. So this week, I challenge you to identify one thing, one habit, one project, one relationship that no longer fits the next version of you, and then release it with gratitude. The N is for navigate. Now that you've cleared space, you can chart your next direction. Navigation is about mapping where you want to go, but also identifying the right vehicle to get you there. What new trends or technologies are shaping my industry? What role do I want to play in the next wave of change? And how can I align my purpose with where the world is leading? The leaders who thrive in reinvention are the ones who stay in motion, curious, observant, and adaptive. You don't want to or need to have every answer. You just need a compass that points towards stronger purpose. The E is for experiment. This is where reinvention becomes real. You don't transform by planning, you transform by testing. Innovation doesn't come from theory, it comes from iteration. So run small experiments, pilot new offers, test ideas in low-risk environments. Whether you're exploring AI in your workflows, building a new revenue stream, or shifting your business model, treat each experiment as a learning lab, not a make or break decision, because progress comes from feedback, not perfection. And lastly, W for win forward. Finally, celebrate that which is working. Reinvention isn't just about change, it's about building momentum, because every small win creates confidence, and confidence compounds into clarity. So when you see progress, even small progress, acknowledge it, anchor it, build on it. The Renew framework is a loop, not a ladder. You'll revisit it many times over as your business, your leadership, your mission, and yes, your identity continue to evolve. And each time you do, you'll emerge sharper, stronger, and more aligned with your purpose. So let's talk about the inner game necessary for reinvention. And to do that, we need to zoom out for a moment, because the outer work of reinvention, the systems, the strategy, the structure, only succeeds if the inner work keeps pace. You can't sustain external transformation with an internal resistance to change. That's why mindset matters more than mechanics. The leaders who thrive in reinvention oftentimes have three qualities in common. Curiosity over certainty. They stay open to learning, even when they're the most experienced person in the room. Resilience over rigidity. They adapt, adjust, and reframe setbacks as experiments. And purpose over ego. They lead from contribution, not control. When you embody those three qualities, reinvention becomes a natural rhythm, not a forced reset. You begin to see change not as a threat, but as a teacher. So our reflection and our challenge. Let's take a moment. Might you ask yourself today, this week, this month, where are you in your life or in your work where you might be overdue for a reinvention? What opportunities have you ignored because they felt too unfamiliar or risky? And what might your next chapter look like if you gave yourself full permission to evolve? So your challenge this week is to schedule one reinvention hour, a quiet block of time, just you, your journal, and your vision with what's next. And ask yourself this question. If you started today knowing everything that you know now, what would you do differently? You can write your answers down. We want you to pick one idea that just absolutely excites you and take one action on it within 30 days, because reinvention happens in moments like that, a small intentional shift that builds into massive transformation over time. So our closing insight for today is you are the architect of both a legacy and evolution. The systems you built brought you here. The mindset you choose next will carry you forward. Remember, legacy honors where you've been. Reinvention determines where you're going next. So as we close today's Spotlight on Success session, remember this. The best chapters of your story are not behind you. They are waiting on the other side of your reinvention. Step boldly into your next version. The future is already yours. You just have to evolve into it. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Until next time, keep leading with clarity, alignment, and purpose, because when you lead with intention, success always follows.